Greetings, old school magic players, and welcome to the Four Horsemen.
Greetings, old school magic players. Welcome to the Four Horsemen on a Sunday afternoon. We are back this week with some Four Horsemen tournament number 12, the finals match. This match is been long awaited. We've been having some delays on getting some of our tournament 12 videos out, but this will wrap up tournament 12. John Eccleberry is with me, and we're going to be commentating on this video together. John, you there?
I'm here.
All right, we are back, and for those of you who may recall, way back in February, we played tournament number 12 with
oh my God, February.
This is with the old banned and restricted list before Mana Drain was restricted, and so we're going to see a lot of blue decks in this tournament. If you've been following the matches on the YouTube channel, you've probably seen everything up through the semifinals. So this has been a greatly anticipated match. Let's just take a quick look at the brackets. John, you are going to be facing off with Peter in Tournament 12 finals. We had some great players, some really good quarterfinals, some great matches. Really interesting semifinals matches as well. Lots of sweeps in this tournament, and you know, it's the old 2-0 thing, right, John? Not a lot of 2-0s.
Man, it's funny, every single match in the top 8 is a 2-0. Barry's deck was really fun. I think we did a video on that one too.
Yeah, his deck was really cool.
He just didn't pull any games out with it. But yeah, now on to the finals.
All right. So let's take a look at the decks. Peter Soltesz is playing the Bounce It, Flip It, Bop It deck, which he aptly named after a game that he had as a kid. And John, you are sticking with your James Bond themes and playing your mono blue Dr. No with time elementals and all the good blueness. You guys are both running time elementals and both running flyers, both running mana drains and serendibs. So let's take a look and see how are these decks actually different. John, you want to talk about your deck? I know you've done a lot of commentating in the other videos, but any final last comments about this deck and what you you know, how you arrived at it and what you are changing in the future, maybe?
I've done a lot of iterations of this this blue deck. I don't know. I played it again in the following tournament, in tournament 13, and I did end up cutting the serendibs for ghost ships, and then I think I moved the time elementals to the board.
Mm-hmm.
Time elemental's such an important card. I feel like in this format, it's really good, but it's bad against certain strategies, and certainly it's bad against red. I mean, I think my uphill battle here is that Peter and I are playing a lot of the same blue cards, but he also has red cards to come at me with, and I just don't have access to that in my monocolor deck, and so it makes it tough for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't hate this build. A few cards end up getting cut. Like I cut the Knowledge Vault the next time I played it. I think I cut all the flash counters out. They're just not versatile enough. They just don't counter the things that I need them to counter. And also, of course, in the next tournament, Mana Drain is reduced to a 1-of, so it's just not as prevalent. I think I end up playing Force Spike in the next tournament since there's extra room in the deck.
Well, you know, this deck has been super strong, and the mono blue continues to be a force to reckon with. In Four Horsemen, the time elementals being able to bounce stuff. You know, back here in Tournament 12, we still have the 4 mana drains, later restricted. really powerful card. And, you know, you and I both tinkered with Knowledge Vault, but it seems to be just a bit too slow to really be the powerhouse that we were hoping it could be. But other than Jalumtone, there's not a lot of draw engines, so you know, I was hoping to see the Knowledge Vault really kind of take off, but it hasn't done so. Let's take a look at Peter's deck. So Peter is playing red, blue, and splashing green, mainly just for Sylvan Library. Lots of interesting includes in this deck, including Immolations, main deck, along with the Chain Lightnings, and main deck Detonates. We haven't seen a lot of that in the past, but you know, as Peter was talking through his deck, he views the Immolations as kind of like extra Chain Lightning, sort of, because most of the time you're using them on a smaller creature anyway, but they can also be attached to your Serendipity or your ghost ships and really buff the power of those creatures.
Yeah, I really like the dual role that card plays. Also, Falling Star is pretty bonkers, and we haven't seen a ton of it, but Peter's made good use of it. I just think his deck is incredibly well positioned against mine. He's got lots of answers for my time elementals, and I don't really have a whole lot of answers for his. So if the games go long, I feel like he has a better opportunity to lock the board down than I do.
Well, so the other thing that Peter's got going on is he's got Rook Eggs, which are incredibly powerful. He can also put the Immolations on the Rook Eggs to make the Rook Eggs kind of get in as a, you know, an attacker and force the Rook to become a flyer. He's got, you know, the Falling Stars, which tap creatures, and you know, the ghost ships themselves are actually incredibly powerful because they can regenerate. He didn't go with Azure Drakes. He went with the Serendipity instead. But, you know, we talked after this tournament, and he mentioned that, like, he's not really as big of a fan of Serendipity anymore because of Spirit Link and Azure Drake and all these ways that the Serendipity can kind of become neutralized. And if you're not running the unstable mutations, it's vulnerable to, you know, being kind of stalled out by the other big blue flyers.
Yeah, I think there's certainly a deck where you could just play them all. You could play all 12 of the X4 flyers, and that's fine as well. But there's a lot of games in this format where games will go long or board states will get stalled, and that life loss makes a difference. And I think, you know, on the flip side of that coin, life gain is actually pretty important in this format. I don't know that it comes into play in this match, but there's a lot of matches where life gain actually makes the difference in the match.
Yeah, and then let's take a look at the sideboard. You know, the Blood Moons in the sideboard, the flash counters, the one-off Ivory Tower, an extra Falling Star, the Amnesia, really powerful card. I don't think he's running Amnesia main deck, is he? It's just that one in the sideboard, the one-off?
No, just the one of in the sideboard.
Yeah, and we've seen in some of the prior matches that Peter seems to get really fortunate and draw into that one of Amnesia at critical times, which really made some of the earlier games. The Artifact Blast is really good against Triskelion, you know, to counter Triskelion outright.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the flash counters to go against other control decks with Boomerangs and Mana Drains and stuff. So, yeah, it's a really powerful deck. Peter's undefeated. He didn't lose a single match in the entire tournament. So it's no surprise that you guys are facing off here. All right. Well, with that, we can get into the match. I'm going to switch over to the video. All right, John, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm set up for 1.5.
All right. On 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, so as John mentioned, we're playing this video at 1.5x. John's on the left with his ever-present, recognizable mountains playmat, and Peter's on the right with his Jasmine Boreal on the right side.
Wow, so this tournament is long enough ago that so at the end of, let's see, when would it have been? At the end of March, there was a live event for the Fallen Empires 40 group, the Fallen Empires World Championship, which was super fun. Like 20 people turned out to go sling some Fallen Empires cards. And I was fortunate enough to win second place in that event. And I won a playmat there. And I've been playing with that new playmat ever since. And so it's funny, if you look at all my old YouTube videos, I'm always on the mountain playmat. And but this might be the last video that you see for a while where I'm playing on the mountain. So it's good to see it again.
All right, so it's a quick start here. A Volcanic Island and Taiga for Peter, and a second turn Sylvan Library. You've got a second turn Workshop and Knowledge Vault, which is interesting to get that early.
I mean, it's not that good because, like, it allows me to get a card down out of my hand, but I can't even activate it unless I get another. You know, it was probably just all I had to do. In fact, with a hand like that, maybe I should have mauled. I don't know. It just seems really insufficient against what he's doing. I guess we'll see what I like. If I come down with a Clockwork Avian here, I guess maybe that's all right. But he's probably got a counter spell either way.
And there's your Teleria, the one of Teleria as well. Okay, well, I mean, a third turn Jaloom Tome gets mana drained.
Not bad.
Boom.
It just is such a background. Like, I'm so glad we finally went ahead and axed it. Well, we didn't completely axe it. We put it on the restricted list. But, like, games like this, like, if the other person can mana drain something early, it's basically game over already. Like, now he can just cast a Triskelion, or if he had his he doesn't have Amnesia because it's in his board, but, like, if he had his one of Amnesia, like, it would just be game over. So what's he gonna do with his extra mana? He can probably play like two things. I don't know. We'll see. It's funny, even at 1.5, I feel like the decisions are taking a long time. Like, oh wow, he played a land. Okay. So he's using two colorless and a blue to get down a Serendipity Freet. And I apparently don't have a counterspell for it, and a Ghost Ship. Like, see, that's just so backbreaking. Like, I haven't made any plays, and then he's gonna get two creatures in one turn. Like, I'm just dead already.
Yeah,
like
that's really rough. Yeah, it's just really tough. But you didn't have to. You didn't have to cast that Jaloom Tome early on, right? Part of your strategy is, you know, those mana drains are out there, and so you try to get them out of your opponent's hand early.
Yeah, but what? Like, I didn't want to cast something that costs more than 3.
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
3 was enough for him to get 2 things down, so it didn't matter. But I hate that it had just become, you know, matches are just draw, go, and then whoever finally plays something, it gets mana drains. I mean, I was actually really surprised that he wasn't able to counter the Clockwork Avian. So at least if that doesn't get destroyed, I've now got defense. You know, I can either block and kill the Serendib, or I can block the Ghost Ship, although that can regenerate. And he's in a pretty good position with Chain Lightning. Like, if I block the anything with the Clockwork, he can just finish it off with the Chain Lightning. Okay, so he elects to put an Immolation on his Ghost Ship, which makes it a 4/2 regenerator, which makes it just a terrible trade for me either way. Either I block and he regenerates and I lose my guy, or I take 4. You had mentioned when we were looking at the decks initially that that's a play you could make, and it really is bad for me.
Yeah, now his Ghost Ship is a 4/2 regenerator. It's unbelievably powerful. Now you are playing Boomerang, so you might be able to, boomerang the Ghost Ship at some point and drop off the Immolation, but it's a really tough start. Also, you're a little short on land. You without your artifacts, you've really only got 3 mana outside of your artifact creature, so you can't play your other guys, but you got another Clockwork Avian, which is cool. Oh, and remove soul for that. Ouch, brutal.
So it's interesting, he didn't remove soul the first Clockwork Avian, so I didn't think he had one, which maybe he didn't. Maybe he just maybe he was able to draw into one. So, like, this is another thing, like, he's splashing green only for Sylvan Library. But if you're going to splash for a card, that's the one, right? Because, like, Sylvan Library single-handedly just gives him all the card selection in the world. Like, there's no way I could possibly win this game with him being able to select his draws and having cards that are good specifically against my strategy. Like, it's just bad for me. There's not really a way out. My deck's just not that complicated. It's just really one-dimensional. And it's even more one-dimensional in the next tournament when it doesn't have mana drains. I mean, I think it's both a strength and a weakness. Like, the consistency of it's great, and it wins a lot of matches. Obviously it made it to the finals this time, and it makes it to the finals next time. But it's pretty straightforward. It doesn't have a lot of complex play to it. I really needed that second Clockwork to stick, I think, in order for this game to work, because he can just bash in for 7 right now, and that's basically... And then he can Chain Lightning me. Like, it's really game over. He can just kill me right now. I don't know what he's thinking so hard about. I don't know why that was such a hard decision of what to keep, especially if he kills me right here. Well, I guess I was looking at his life total and not mine. But either way, I'm down below 10 now.
Yeah, this is a really, really tough start. And Peter's hitting in every turn. He's got...
I don't have a Boomerang for the Ghost Ship, so it's basically just... must be playing a Triskelion, I guess. Yeah. Must be my only play, otherwise I wouldn't... bother tapping out.
Is that the third remove soul or the second remove soul?
Just the second, I think. He mana drained my tome, and then he remove souled my Avian, and he remove souled my Clockwork. So he's countered 3 of my relevant spells now.
And there's the Falling Star.
And then he uses Falling Star to tap my guy, even though it's not going to kill it. He taps it so that he can get in for another 7.
Okay, so that taps the Clockwork, does 3 damage to it. Now he can hit for 7 more. So yeah, wow, this match is basically over now.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do.
Well, Peter has won so many of the other Four Horsemen tournaments. He's definitely the winningest Four Horsemen player ever. And it's not a surprise. He's always played different decks, but he's always played decks with 4 mana drains. You know, that's one of the reasons why we had to restrict it. Was because
it's just too good. The person that gets the early mana drain just wins like an incredibly high percentage of the time.
Yeah.
Like him being able to mana drain on my turn 3 and then play 2 dudes, like just was game over. Like he's done me all the damage I've taken has been from those two creatures that he cast that turn. Oh, and then of course he has the mana drain for that too. So he literally countered every spell I played that game except for the Clockwork Avian. That I guess he didn't counter the Knowledge Vault, but it was useless. Yeah, so he countered 4 of my 5 relevant spells. There's just not a way to win a game if somebody's got the card every single time.
Yeah. All right. Well, while you guys are sideboarding, let's switch over to the deck pictures, and we can take a look at what sideboard options you guys might have. Let's start with your deck. So, what do you think you'd sideboard here, John?
I probably will bring in a lot. Honestly, I'll probably bring in the old men, because they can steal pretty much any of his things. I mean, they do get killed by chain lightning, but sort of the time elementals, so it kind of gives a shield. Like he's only got so many chain lightnings, you know. And I probably would bring in the Tawnos' Coffin because he has Rook tokens. I imagine I'll also bring in both of the utility lands, the Diamond Valley and the Island of Whack Whack. You know, because there's so much flying going on. So probably those 7 cards, I would imagine. And then I'll probably take out, I don't know, the Serendipity Freets and maybe trim a couple in the Knowledge Vault, and then maybe trim just a couple other cards to make room. Probably trim the Talaria. You'll notice I'm playing 61 cards in this build, which is super janky. But, you know, it allows a little bit of... I played a regular 60 the following time.
Yeah.
The following 2 times, actually, because I ended up playing Mono Blue in... it just shows you how long ago this was, because, like, I ended up playing Mono Blue in Tournament 13, and I'm also playing Mono Blue in Tournament 14, just with minor tweaks to the deck. I was going to play something different for the newest tournament, but I didn't get around to building anything, and it was time to play, so I just had to go. So I just edited the sideboard a little bit, but I definitely think Old Man could be kind of good here, depending, you know, because it can steal Ghost Ship, it can steal Time Elemental, it can steal a Rook Egg, you know. It can take most of his stuff. It just can't take a Serendipity Freet.
Yeah. Well, it looks like... I'm just checking back over on the video. Looks like you are still sideboarding. So let's take a look at Peter's deck. I would assume he's going to sideboard in his Amnesia and his Flash counters. And maybe the Artifact Blast. I don't know. Maybe a Remove Soul. I don't really think he needs the Time Elementals against you. But maybe they'd be good over the long run of the match. I think he could actually take out the immolations, since you're not playing a bunch of weenies. But the immolations could be used on your Drakes so that that they can be killed. So I don't know. He may not need to really sideboard much of anything. Maybe the Falling Stars. What do you think? What do you think he's going to sideboard?
I mean, I imagine he'll bring in that Amnesia, because if he can fire that off, it's just...
So just sideboarding one Amnesia and that's it?
I don't think he really needs any of the other cards. I mean, he might, if he really wants to, he could bring in something like Ivory Tower, but I just don't think he needs it.
Yeah. What about the flash counters?
I mean, I guess with 4 mana drains, he could bring in a couple of those against my mana drains, or all of them if he really wants to. Maybe take out his boomerangs and replace them with flash counters, or take out the immolations and replace them with flash counters, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd pop out the 2 immolations and put in 2 flash counters. And I think I would take... you know, the Serendib Efreets are actually not very good against your deck. I would take out the Serendib Efreets, and I would put in that extra remove soul in the artifact blast, and then he can just counter your artifact flyers. I don't think I'd want to be playing those Serendibs against you, because of all your blockers. But if he takes the Serendibs out, that really puts him down to a minimal number of creatures. So maybe he'd only have the ghost ships at that point, which I think he's running 3 or 4 ghost ships.
Yeah, the Serendibs are his primary attackers.
Yeah, and he's got the Chain Lightnings to go with him. So yeah, he's got to leave the Serendibs in. Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe just take out the 2 immolations, put in the Amnesia, and 1 flash counter, and call it a day.
He could also take out the detonates. Like, they're not particularly good against me. Like, I have a couple of artifacts, but...
Well, you've got your Triskelions and you've got your Clockwork Avians, but it becomes very expensive to cast those detonates.
Yeah, you gotta have a lot of mana to blow up. You'd have to have 7 mana to blow a Triskelion up.
Yeah.
But, right. I mean, the games do go long, so who knows?
Right. All right, so it looks like you guys are drawing. If we want to switch back over to the video... I'm at 25-45, John, if you're around the same.
As am I.
Okay,
As
cool.
am I.
Perfect. Our sync system is working. I'm glad we found ways to get this, you know, working with good quality, because it was really tough having to to show the YouTube video uploaded and then try and stream it through Whereby. That was kind of janky. All right, so you're on the play. Got your 2 islands. Peter's got his and a volcanic.
Yeah, once mana drain's gone, in the next tournament, I ended up bringing in amnesias as well, because it's just a super powerful card. Like, there's some games where you just hit somebody with an amnesia and it's just all over. This was so long ago, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that he hits me with his 1-of amnesia, and it's just game. We'll see if that's true or not. So I must not have another mana-producing land, otherwise I would have played it. I usually hold on to my maze as long as possible. It's not like he has a threat down or anything. So I'm stuck on three lands here. There's an island to Wok. So I was correct that I sided the island in, you know, which makes sense. But at the same time, as you know, it sucks when you have 5 lands out, but 2 of them don't add mana.
So just a straight up Chain Lightning. That's interesting.
Yeah, Peter does that a lot. I think it's weird. I mean, I get it. Like, it is damage, and if he's not going to use it later, or if he's going to have to discard, like maybe he was going to have to discard there, and so he just chooses to play a card instead.
Yeah, but you've got a pretty strong position now. You've got Maze of Ith, you've got Island of Whack, which you sideboarded in, which is good. You got your Diamond Valley, so you can munch things if you get them into play. And then he's just Chain Lightninging you again. Wow, look at that. Maybe he's got 3 Chain Lightnings in hand, and he's just gonna hit you for 9. So now it's the weight game, right?
Yeah, it's funny. Usually, just like tossing out chain lightnings like that feels bad, but at the same time, if we're just draw going and he's doing me damage and I'm not doing anything to him, it's it's gonna be tough.
So it's just land go, land go. Yeah, because this is what you get when you got 4 mana drains on each side. And you guys are running 4 mana drains and 4 remove souls each, and you don't have things like Force Spike or your Amnesias in this version of your deck, right? So
right.
It's not like you can hedge out a little bit of an edge with those cards like you've been able to do in some of the newer versions of the mono blue deck. All right, so Peter is now discarding cards instead of playing cards.
Guess he doesn't have any more chain lightnings to hit me.
Right. Well, and you've only got 5 mana because 3 of your lands don't tap for mana. So now the mana drain or remove soul war can start. Interesting. Okay, so so he's got a mana drain, he's got 3 mana, he top decks another land.
So as usual, the person that plays something loses. Like, I figured that if I was gonna play something, playing something that only had 3 would be fine. But of course he has his one of Amnesia.
Oh my!
And
goodness.
then of course he has a counterspell for my counterspell. So it's just over.
Oh my god! So that's the one of Amnesia. This happened one of the other matches too, didn't it?
Yep. So it's just game.
Oh my god!
This is really annoying.
Wow, that's rough. Well, so you have to discard your whole hand. So you had Remove Soul, Azure Drake, Recall, and 2 Triskelions. Jesus, how brutal. And Peter's got like 4 cards, it looks like. But
I mean, I guess I could have just continued to not play anything, but like either way, he would have he could have just amnesia'd me, and then if I countered it, counter my counter, because he always has more counters than I do.
Yeah. Oh, and now he plays Serendip and Time Elemental. Yeah,
it's just over.
Yeah, that's
really annoying.
Now he can bounce your Island of Whack, but you do have Maze of Ith, so you do have at least one way to hold off his attackers for a little while.
All he has to do is play one more attacker.
Yeah, and then it's kind of a lock. Man, Peter's very, very, very lucky to get that one of Amnesia in that exact scenario. It's like that is the only way that he would beat you, and he got it all. Everything, and he even had the other mana drain. He had the mana drain before the turn to allow him to cast the Amnesia, and then he had another mana drain to counter your mana drain. And the Amnesia is only a 1 of.
Right.
Man. Okay, so he plays his second Serendipity now. And you're able to get a Triskelion into play. And you were able to kill the Time Elemental. That was pretty important.
Yeah, that made it less annoying. So now he's got 2 dudes that I can neutralize that will both do him 2 damage every turn. Or each do him a damage every turn. So it's something, but he's got 3 attackers, so I'm going to still also take damage every turn. I mean, I do my best to hang in there, but when you have to discard 6 cards, it's basically just over.
Yeah, it's really tough. And you've been top decking lands and Fellwar Stones and things, so you're not getting the kind of fortuitous luck here that you.
I mean, I should probably just be holding those extra cards now, so in case I draw a Jaloom Tome, but I don't know. I think it's a foregone conclusion.
Oh, there's the detonate. I guess he's gonna hit the Triskelion for 6 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well,
7.
he targets the Triskelion, and then he realizes that I could use it to kill itself, and then he pulls it back. little takesies backsies there.
Uh-oh. More takesies
And
backsies.
then I think he ends up blowing my Fellwar Stone instead or something. I don't know.
Alright, so you take 2 damage for that. But the Serendibs are still not able to get in, right? Because you've got the Island of Whack Whack for one of them. Oh, he's got a ghost ship now. Okay,
He's
so
also got a ghost ship. So yeah, so I'm still taking 2 a turn.
2 a turn. Rough. Now, at this time, we also had not restricted Island of Whack Whack or Diamond Valley. Those were unrestricted as well.
I mean, I'm still only playing one of either of them. I mean, they're cards that I don't know that you would want to play as a 4 of, but there's a time elemental, so that just totally locks the game if it wasn't already.
Yeah, because now in addition to the 2 per turn, he can bounce stuff, and he counters your
Oh, look, another counter spell.
Azure Drake. Yeah, wow. So that's like, I think that's, what is that, 3 mana drains and 3 remove souls?
Definitely, let's see, 2 mana drains, and he might have only played 1 remove soul this game. Last game he played 4 counter spells, and this game I think he's played 3 or 4.
Yeah, he's played at least 2 mana drains and 2 remove souls. But, you know, having 8 of those counters is really strong. It's interesting that blue has still remained powerful even without the mana drains. You know, even with mana drain restricted, remove soul by itself is just crazy good, and all the blue flyers are strong.
It's got a lot of great cards. It's just got a lot of durable flyers. It's got time elemental. It's got boomerang. It's just got a lot of good stuff to have interaction. You know?
Yeah. Well, so it looks like. So did he use the time elemental on your Maze of Ith? Is that what happened there?
Yeah, he returned the Maze of Ith to my hand.
All right, well that's game.
That was a super obnoxious match to play. I did not enjoy that match.
Yeah, I can see why. I mean, I've had some matches like that were just really, really tough. Okay, well, so Peter wins tournament 12. That's, I think, his 6th or 7th tournament that he's won.
Number 8. Number 8. He won tournaments 5 through 12. So
wow.
he had 8 straight wins.
Wow. Well, so that is tournament 12 finals. I was hoping it would be a 2-1 kind of nail biter like some of our other games, but no such luck. So Mono Blue makes it all the way to the finals and goes down in a 2-0 closeout. Well, John, thanks for playing and doing the video with me. Just a quick plug before we wrap up today. Tournament 14 is ongoing now, and we can now start getting to our Tournament 13 videos, which we're behind on. Here's the updated banned and restricted for Tournament 14, which is running now through June 16th, and we've restricted Diamond Valley, Island of Whack Whack, and Manage Rain, and added that to the other stuff, including Recall, Tabernacle, and I think it's really helped balance the format out. A lot of people are really liking it, and we're seeing a lot of cool decks. So glad we made those changes, and you can see now by this match why why that was necessary. You guys can join us on any Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for our Four Horsemen Old School Magic meetup. Check us out at fourhorsemenmagic.com. And thanks for joining us today. John, thanks for doing the video with me. And that wraps it for Tournament 12 Finals.
Catch you next time.
Okay, thanks, John. See you, everybody. Bye.